Hebrews chapter 11. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the conviction of things not seen. For by this kind of faith the elders obtained a good report. By faith we understand that the worlds were created by the word of God, so that the things that are seen were made from things that are invisible. By faith Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and through it, though he died, he is yet speaking. By faith Enoch was transported so that he would not look upon death, and was not found, because God had transported him. For before his departure, it was testified of him that he pleased God. Now without faith, it is impossible to please God, for it is mandatory for the one who comes to God to believe that he exists, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. By faith, Noah, after being divinely instructed by God about the things he could not yet see, was moved with fear and prepared an ark for the salvation of his house, through which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith, Abraham, being called of God to go out into the place which he would later receive for an inheritance, obeyed and went, not knowing where he was going. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise like a foreigner, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the joint heirs of the same promise. For he was waiting for the city with the foundations, of which God is the architect and builder. By faith also, Sarah herself received power to conceive seed, and gave birth when she was well beyond the childbearing age, because she esteemed him faithful who had personally promised her a son. Because of this faith, there came into being from one man, and moreover one who was reproductively dead, descendants as numerous as the stars in the heavens, and as countless as the sand on the seashore. All these died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them from afar, and having been persuaded of them, and having embraced them, and having confessed that they were strangers and sojourners on the earth. For those who say such things make it manifest that they seek their own country, as promised by God. And if, on the one hand, they had let their minds dwell fondly on the place where they came from, they might have had opportunity to return. But now, on the other hand, they are aspiring to a more excellent country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, because he has prepared a city for them. By faith, Abraham, when he was being tried, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said, "In Isaac shall your seed be called," because he reckoned that God was able to raise him even from among the dead, from which he also received him in a figurative way. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things that were to come. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph and worshipped God, leaning on the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he was dying, spoke of the coming exodus of the children of Israel and gave a command concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, after he was born, was hidden 3 months by his parents because they saw that he was a beautiful little child, and they did not fear the king's decree. By faith, Moses, after becoming a great leader, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing to suffer affliction with the people of God, rather than to enjoy the temporary pleasure of sin. For he esteemed the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking intently to the reward. By faith, he left Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he persevered as if he were seeing the one who is invisible. By faith, he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of the blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not slay them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as through a dry land, in which the Egyptians, while making the attempt, were swallowed up by the waters. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell after being circled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab the harlot did not perish with those who disobeyed, because she had received the spies peaceably. Now what more can I say? For time would fail me to relate the accounts of Gideon, Barak also, and Samson, and Jephthah, David also, and Samuel and the prophets, who by faith were victorious over kingdoms, worked righteousness, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were strengthened from weakness, became mighty in war, and turned back the armies of foreigners. Women received their dead restored to life, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a superior resurrection. And others endured the trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yes, and moreover, of chains and imprisonment. They were stoned to death, they were sawed in two, they were brutally interrogated and slaughtered by the sword. They went about in sheepskins and in goatskins, being destitute, oppressed, and ill-treated, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains, living in caves and in holes in the earth. But these all, though they had received a good report through faith, did not obtain the promise, because God had determined in advance to provide something superior for us, so that without us they would not be made perfect.